CCI Stinger in the rifle versus the pistol. So I'm going to use my 18-inch Rossi RS-22 rifle to test the CCI Stinger, and my Taurus TX-22 with a 4.1-inch barrel to test the same ammunition. So the CCI Stinger is actually a 32 grain copper plated hollow point, one of the hottest 22 long rifle rounds out there, at least by the numbers that you see online. 32 grains rated at 1640 feet per second. In the past, I tested it through this pistol here, and the reason why I tested is because for a long time people said that, you know, the ammunition you want to use through a handgun is going to be the CCI Stinger. So I tested it, and it didn't do particularly any better than any other 22 long rifle round in that test. And people were like, well, you got to test it through the rifle, that's what you did wrong. But, you know, at the beginning they were telling me it was the best round for a pistol. So, you know, I've noticed a lot of people have a lot of recommendations. They don't always pan out. So we're going to see what we get though. CCI Stinger, 32 grain hollow point, how it compares through a pistol and a rifle. So we're going to go through the chronograph, see what kind of velocity and accuracy we get at the same time. Then I'm going to do my 10% clear ballistic test. I'm going to go in the plain clear ballistics, see what the best potential of those cartridges are, see if we get any hollow point expansion and what kind of penetration. After that, I'm going to do more of our real world simulation where I have 4 layers of denim in this first 3-inch piece that I like to say represents our pectoral muscle. After that, we're going to have a 1/4-inch medium density fiberboard to represent hitting ribs or sternum. In the clear ballistics, that'll be more of our real world simulation. And then I am going to shoot up my steel to see what kind of practical accuracy I can get with these. So let's get started with this test. All right, first up, we're going to test the Stinger and the pistol here. If you didn't know, CCI actually makes the cases a little bit longer with a Stinger versus regular 22 long rifle ammo. But because it's a heeled bullet and the whole thing is 22 diameter all the way along the case, it really doesn't matter. So first up, we're going to test it in our 4.1-inch Taurus TX-22. It's rated at 1640 feet per second, but that's through a rifle. I have a few rounds on the chronograph there that I ran some Agula Super Extra, just target ammo through there to see that my chronograph is working. So let's see how our 32 grain Stinger does. 1195, 1202, 1197, 1186, 1174. So except for that last one, very, very consistent for a 22 long rifle. So I like that consistency to know what we're getting for energy. Now our rifle, we're rated at 1640 feet per second through a rifle. Hopefully I can get that. So let's see what we can get here through our rifle. 1563, 1542, 1538, 1543, 1524. So I'd say on average we're about 100 feet per second below the rated velocity. It's still a pretty fast velocity though. So let's set our ballistics gel block and see how they compare between a rifle and a pistol. All right, first up, we're going to do our plain clear ballistics shot. No denim in the way to clog a hollow point, no rib simulation or anything like that to cause a reduced penetration. So let's see what we get here. CCI Stinger through our pistol here. All right. Now let's try that with our rifle. Let's go take a look. All right, so very interesting results in our first 3 inches. Both of these actually had energy dump pretty good, which is interesting to see here. You know, our bottom down there with our pistol and our top with our rifle. What I can see with the rifle though is there's actually a little bit of busted up pieces of fragmenting going on. So it's hitting so hard we're losing pieces of that jacket. We're losing, you know, fragments there. So what we got with our pistol is we got a penetration of about 8.5 inches. I know when I come back this way really far with those in the back right there, the parallax is awful with this camera. It'll make it look like I'm putting my finger somewhere and the bullet is up here more, but it's not. It's at 8.5 inches. But we have full expansion on that from the pistol, which is pretty impressive. Now from the rifle, it looks like we lost a lot of that expanded hollow point material, and the overall diameter is going to be smaller through the rifle, but that allowed it to penetrate to 13 inches, which is actually pretty ideal for a self-defense penetration. So I would say through the rifle it did a little bit better in our plain clear ballistics shot. Now when we go through the denim though, that can sometimes reduce that overall expansion, and that might make it work a little bit better. So let's put on our denim, put on our MDF, and see how they compare that way. All right, we have 4 layers of denim, 3 inches of clear ballistics, a 1/4 inch medium density fiberboard. I generally don't trust ballistic tests that don't have something hard like a rib, because that really does change the diameter of the bullets. A lot of times when they hit, they can deform a lot, and you know, that looks a lot closer to bullets I've seen pulled from living things. So let's see what we get here through our pistol. All right. Now let's hit it with our rifle, see how it compares. Let's go take a look. All right, that actually hit really hard with the rifle, and this lifted out. I see a lot of this back force like that, where the stuff comes out and the MDF pops out like that with like Magnum handgun calibers. So that's really interesting to see that happen like that. So before we look at the MDF, we'll look at this first 3 inches here. And what we're seeing here is through a pistol, virtually no energy dump or expansion. So that denim really changed it a lot, because with no denim, we can see that it expanded. With denim, it did not. We still have big energy dump and looks like expansion with the rifle, but that kind of reversed what happened here versus no denim and MDF. What we got through our pistol is actually really good looking. I actually do see expansion with the pistol, and we're at 12 3/4 inches. So I would say, you know, we're a 1/4 inch away from the way it was through the rifle. So I would say the denim MDF changed that enough that I would say that's a pretty ideal self-defense cartridge for a pistol. Now looking at our rifle here, all that did, there's just not enough mass there to energy dump the way it did. And we only got a penetration of about 7 3/4 inches. So it dumped too much energy, it expanded too big for how much mass is there. It essentially turns the sectional density into nothing because it becomes a pancake. So while this does appear to be a good small game cartridge, and that's what it's listed as through a rifle, it looks like when we're talking self-defense, it is like what a lot of people were saying, it is pretty good through a pistol. So overall, I'm going to say if we're talking self-defense here, I would say it's just right in that pistol, but you're not going to get a whole lot of penetration through a rifle. It's just going to dump its energy. So overall, not the best choice for a defensive 22 long rifle and a rifle, but pretty good through a pistol. So let's take a close-up look at these, and I'm going to shoot the steel, see what kind of practical shootability I can get with these. All right, so here's a close-up look at these bullets, and here is our pistol through the plain gel. Just really big expansion. I typically don't see anything like that with 22 long rifle, but that big expansion did cause the sectional density to become just really small, basically pancaked out. So that means it's not going to penetrate very far. Now when we look at through our rifle, what happened is it hit so hard and expanded and fragmented that it only left behind this little core here, the center of the bullet. So even though it did kind of worse in some way, it definitely did better, I would say, overall, because it penetrated to adequate depths and we just fragmented. So difference there through our plain gel. Now when we go through our denim and MDF, things actually reversed, and I forgot to show the MDF, so here it is. The bottom here is the pistol, and top here is the rifle. So after going through that denim, it actually lowered that expansion just enough that it didn't fragment, and all it did was expand massive. As where our pistol, it wasn't quite enough velocity after going through that denim to really get huge expansion. So that penetrated more adequately. So what we got with our rifle through the MDF is extremely bigger than the pistol, and it's extremely bigger than the rifle through the plain gel because it didn't explode. So this is the rifle right here, both rifle shots. Our plain gel, that tiny one, through our MDF and denim, that massive one. Now through the pistol here, through the MDF, completely different here. We got some mushrooming, some expansion, but just like the rifle going through plain gel, this is smaller, so it expanded adequately. So this is not impressive looking expansion, but it's okay deformation considering that we got good penetration. So both of these performed, I guess, pretty good depending on how you look at it, but overall I see my denim and real world MDF test as being more meaningful in a way. So what we saw was definitely our pistol did better. Our rifle over here expanded too much, but that makes sense because it is a very small game hunting round, so you're kind of looking to dump its energy in a small target and really do some explosive damage, and that's exactly what's going to happen with the rifle. But when we put it in the pistol, it actually brings that velocity down just enough that makes a pretty good defensive cartridge. So that's a close-up look at those. All right, 12 yards from the target. I would say we had pretty much phenomenal accuracy overall when I was looking at the chronograph session there. You know, really tight groups, you know, which is not particularly typical with this particular 22 pistol. So I'm thinking maybe this would shoot pretty good at 12 yards if I just rapid fired them. So let's see what we get here with the pistol. All right, I'd say overall that's some pretty acceptable accuracy. Having a little bit of trouble with the rifle here. So let's see what I can do with our rifle, see how this stuff shoots. Overall it shoots pretty good. So that stuff shoots very acceptably for shooting fast, very low recoil. So that's really good. So since both of these are actually shooting pretty good, I'm gonna back it up and see how they both shoot from some distance out of the pistol and the rifle. All right, 75 yards from the target. There's a little bit of harsh sunlight on that target. Might be hard to see the impacts, but this stuff shot really good. So I'm really curious how it's gonna shoot at some distance. So let's see what we get here through the rifle with these stingers, see if they're very accurate. Right, so I have absolutely no idea where those are hitting because I can't see the impacts. Let me set this aside here. And what I'm really curious about is how these are going to shoot out of a pistol, because they are moving very quickly. Sometimes at distance, 22 long rifle has some issues with reaching the target properly. So I'm hopeful that I can hit the target a little easier with these. So 75 yards. See what this pistol does for me. I'll just aim center mass. All right, so I'm not sure where those last three went. Have a malfunction of some sort. Sort of a stovepipe magazine type thing. I think these may be shooting low out of the pistol. Alright, so yeah, all over the place with those. I don't know why exactly, because I can't really tell where I'm hitting, but they were pretty much all over the place for me. So I'm gonna back it up to 100 yards, see how these things shoot out of the rifle. All right, so I'm at my 100-yard marker here. Let's see if I can make any hits with this rifle and the CCI Stinger. a little bit of a stovepipe type jam double feed going on there. Alright, so I couldn't really tell if I'm hitting every time or if I'm missing some of the times. It's really hard for me to tell. But I am very curious about if I can hit with this pistol. I was not doing very good at 75 yards, so you might think I'll do a lot worse from 100, but I am really curious, so I'll try to see if I can see where these impact. Hit some, I missed some. Most of those hits that I hit was actually aiming at the head on that silhouette, so I have no idea where they're actually hitting. I cannot see impacts of a 22 from that distance. But I'll keep trying with this pistol here because this is a more challenge and more fun. Yeah, kind of a stovepipe. I haven't had carbs in a while. Alright, so consistently very hard to hit from that distance, but that was just for fun. I like doing that kind of stuff. I don't know why some people get so mad at me when I do that. It's like, it's my video, it's my ammo, it's my guns. I want to shoot from that distance, so what? And they just ramble on and on and on about how stupid it is. But, you know, I always find it fun because I feel like it sharpens my abilities a little bit closer up. Anytime you challenge yourself, you get a little bit better at whatever else you're doing that might be an easier task. So that's basically why I do that. I'm looking for a challenge. But overall, looking at this ballistic test here, and that's really what matters here, I'm going to say it's interesting here because when I tested this Stinger in the past, this pistol didn't perform that well at all. I'll have to look back and see what kind of velocities I was getting, but it really doesn't make any sense that I wouldn't do very well before, and then now it seems like it did a lot better. But looking at this, what I'm seeing here is that through a handgun, at least through a 4-inch barrel, and probably a little bit greater here, I'm going to say that's not a bad choice for personal defense. I would definitely say that judging from this, compared to like my test of the CCI uppercut, this did better than the uppercut did from what I'm remembering. It just looked like we had better, more consistent expansion across the board. So, you know, going through the denim and the MDF, perfect, really perfect. You know, when we saw it go through just the plain gel, yeah, you know, it expanded huge, which caused it to underpenetrate. Same thing with the rifle through the plain gel, expanded huge, but because it busted off so many fragments, that core was able to go deeper. But looking at the handgun, you know, what we saw is that, you know, it lowers that expansion a little bit. So what happened with the rifle is it lowered that ability to really fragment out and over expanded. Just like the pistol through the plain gel, it didn't penetrate enough. But the pistol through the MDF and denim, perfect combination overall. So I'm going to say that for a handgun, the CCI Stinger probably still is one of the better go-tos if you're going to use a handgun for defense. Now, I do think that some of the Aguila offerings are pretty good too, so I wouldn't just rule it out and just be like, you know, this is the best choice, but I'm going to say it's not a bad choice. You know, you're going to look for as much power as you can get with a 22 if you're going to really seriously use it for defense. Some hollow points will work, some will not, but it seems like around the 100 foot-pounds threshold is what you really need to get hollow point expansion, or you need at least 1,000 feet per second out of a pistol. So, you know, we see that with CCI Velocitors, Agula Interceptors, CCI Stingers. CCI Uppercut did okay too. So, interesting to look at this. I would still say that currently, I would probably still say the Stingers is the better choice out of all your options nowadays. So, that's what you get today between the rifle and the pistol with the CCI Stinger. So, as always, comment, share, and like, and thanks for watching.